This is Castor Risk, and welcome back to episode 15. Welcome back to Koppai Podcast, episode 15. I am one of your hosts, Castor Risk, joined once again by Mr. Koppai himself, Zach Risk.
Oh, gosh.
Man, how's it going?
Going good.
Going good?
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I have some stories to tell.
Yeah,
but
you just got back from Minneapolis.
I'm here. I'm back in Kearney. We're in Zach's personal Koppai studio.
Yeah.
We got everything set up. We got the vibe. We got everything going. Yeah, I'm back from the city for a brief Easter break. This will be going up on Tuesday. I'll be on the road Monday. We're filming Saturday, and we'll celebrate and relax on Easter Sunday. And so, whole lot of stuff going on this weekend. But you may notice a slight change in quality this week on Koppai Podcast, Koppai Nation. I left Minneapolis on, Friday. And, I had two rules. One, we left, I think, maybe around noon or so. We had to do a quick errand for Mom. She wanted us to take a picture with the Archway Moose. And so we did that, and then in front of the sculpture garden. And then I had a rule of using no GPS on the entire way back from Minneapolis, including we went and stayed with our grandma on Friday night. And so she lives in a very, very small town in Nebraska. And so we had to find Plattsmouth without a GPS. And we got so lost. And I was so preoccupied with how to get out of Minneapolis. Do we have everything? Am I good to go for the holiday and stuff? And I came back with my fiance, but I'm going back with my dad. And so I was thinking about what I need to bring with her, but what I can bring back with my dad. And so it was a whole rigmarole. And one, I forgot my nice $200 microphone that we normally use for the podcast, or at least with my side recording. And Zach has a pretty nice mic for himself, which he can only use for himself because it's a headset. And so I forgot that microphone. And then we got lost pretty badly. We left Minneapolis at noon, maybe 1-ish, giving time to get out. We stopped a couple times for rest stops, gas up, and then get food. I think we stopped for both lunch and dinner. But we tried to find Plattsmouth. We almost got into Missouri. Leaving from Minnesota, going down through Iowa, we almost entered Missouri. Fortunately, we took the right turn to Plattsmouth in Nebraska. We crossed over the Missouri River, got into the Bellevue area, which, for anyone listening outside of the area, they wouldn't really know, but basically saying we were way off track. Finally, Plattsmouth has a population of about 6,000 people. And so, really not a big town. That's kind of the size of people's colleges and stuff, or high schools. We finally found that, and they only had one sign for Plattsmouth. And so, my fiance was insisting that there wasn't a sign for it, but we finally found it. I screamed in the car, and then I was able to find grandma's
immediately.
Once we got into town, I found the ice cream shop that we always went to, and got in there.
When you see that ice cream shop, you're like, all right.
Iconic, yeah. It's shaped like a triangle. And so we stayed with her, and then this morning, we were going to film earlier in the day, and we were going to have all sorts of time today to film or record and get mic situations figured out, maybe find a way to split the microphone input. But I got here late because we left Plattsmouth around 1 or 2 and went past the interstate accidentally. Or the turn onto the interstate. It was hard to see because you're just driving. You're not, once again, not using a GPS. And we went past that. We were out in the boonies on dirt roads for about an hour and a half.
Wow.
And Michaela said, when we get down to a half tank of gas, we have to use the GPS. And finally, we went to a dead end. We turned around, and we found the turn that we missed. We turned onto it, and the interstate was right beyond a thing of trees. They got on the interstate and got here in record time.
Wow.
So basically, all this to say, been a crazy weekend, Koppai Nation, and I apologize 5 minutes in for the audio quality. If it's bad, we're going to try to pump it with bass boosting and denoising software.
Yeah.
And so our voices may sound artificial. It may sound weird. It may also sound better because we're in person and it's not over a Skype call. All this to say, if you want to increase Koppai's productions and quality and get us a nice studio and better microphones and the recording software, you can head over to patreon.com/Koppai Productions, where for just $1, you can get us, you can support us, and you can enter to win a Nintendo NX this holiday season. If we hit a certain milestone of Koppai donators and patrons, we'll officially give away that NX. Otherwise, we are dedicated to give a monthly amiibo away. We had a winner for March's amiibo winner contest giveaway. I don't know how we should go about that because they turned it down.
They did turn it down.
They did turn it down officially.
Wow.
We contacted them. They took a few days to reply. I replied to them and said, "Oh, no, you won fair and square," because they already have a lot of amiibo, and they're like, "This would not be fair for me to have it, give it to someone else." And I'm like, "No, maybe you can give it away, or maybe you can sell it, or I mean, you won it. Like, we're not going to stop it because because we even had like a debate. Like, this guy already has all of them. Like, he has videos on his Twitter and stuff of him opening up amiibo, and we're like, no, but he won." And so we tried to give it to him and insisted that because he won, he should have it. But he stopped replying after a while. He's just like, all right, I don't want it. And so I was thinking about either drawing a new winner, and maybe the Koppai Nation can vote, or maybe we can talk about it here, behind the scenes. I was thinking of either just going ahead and giving it away to someone else that entered, or for April, give away 2 amiibo. Up the ante. Because like when you look at the Powerball, for example, right, if they have $1 million jackpot and no one wins, the next one's $2 million. They just put it into the next jackpot.
Yeah.
But you also look at some like other contests where it's like if someone denies the contest thing, they are like, okay, we'll give it to the next person.
Right.
And so
yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea. I like that idea because now it's to the point where we're almost to April, so we're almost to that that contest date. And it's like, may as well, because this whole dilemma with this person, and
yeah, and we could easily just reuse the graphics and just slap a 2 on there, 2 amiibo giveaway.
Yeah,
and that'll just up the ante. Where if you share our video with #Koppai, if you follow us on Twitter, if you subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, or just share anything with #Koppai, or support us on Patreon. You enter to win 2 amiibo for the month of April. Official Koppai Podcast exclusive.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, really, we'll go with that. We'll go with that because then that gives us, then I don't have to go back through and figure out who had signed up by the deadline, because I input all those names into the randomizer and put in you have like people like Charlie who had 5 different entries because he liked everything we had, shared some stuff, and then supported us on Patreon. And then you have also some other people. I think Mango Viking had a few entries. You and I had a ton of entries. Yeah. And we did randomize it, and there's a few times that it was like a robot account and we didn't give it to that person. So, we put our names in there and all those robots account for the sake of the odds. But if they do win and we check out their profile and stuff and they seem like they don't qualify because of hackers or spammers or something, we don't give it to them. But the original winner did win, and should we give him a shout out and say thank you for being kind and donating it to the next person?
Yeah, totally.
Shout out to what I think it's Crazy Dope-tastic on Twitter and YouTube. If you check out his channel, he has an awesome unboxing of every single amiibo. Really well polished channel, and he was the original winner for the month of March. We contacted him and said maybe you can just give it away on your channel as an extra giveaway, and he just said no, I'm good. And so. Really cool that he would just kind of be that selfless. Because he could have easily taken it and sold it.
Because he even does those on his channel all the time. He says he got some extra amiibo. I'm going to give one of these away. And it was a really good video, and it seems like a great way for him to get some more, followers and people to himself. He could have easily used it. And it's like...
He's just selfless about it, though. He's like, no, I don't need it. Really cool. And so, shout out to him. We're hoping to maybe... we're going to try to stay in touch with him and maybe see if we can... work with him in the future, because thankfully because he was a part of our stuff and was favoriting and sharing our stuff, we were able to check out his content. And so I think that's most of the housekeeping stuff. I've been viewing the Patreon or YouTube statistics and stuff. We're doing. What are you looking at? What do you? The Audacity thing? Is it?
Yeah, I was just making sure it was still recording. But yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah, we're recording. Look at it. It's all black. It's good.
Yeah, when I waved my finger to make sure that it was displaying again, it did that weird blue thing. So I was just double checking because it looked almost like it stopped. But since we have such a long recording going,
yeah, it's just hard to tell if it's. Yeah. Oh, the yellow line just moved.
Yeah.
Or orange. But yeah, I think. Besides that, our YouTube analysts or analytics. What is it? Analytics, yeah. Those are cool to check out. We're having a pretty good first week. Our first couple weeks of Koppai. Lots of video views. You guys love Miitomo.
Yeah.
Hyrule Warriors.
Hyrule Warriors, that one snippet that we just released.
Yeah.
Like getting tons of attention, tons of love. It's like 6 views and then like 40, 50 views for some Hyrule Warriors. But
yeah, Miitomo, like even our
Triforce Hero.
Yeah, people. Well, I mean, I was so hesitant about making that a snippet and even having that as a title because it was kind of bashing to Hyrule Warriors, but it's like people want to know what we have to say about how bad it is, and I think coming from a Nintendo podcast, it's always interesting to hear and talk about.
Yeah, that was the news story.
Yeah,
and I also talked in that podcast episode about how I'd probably jump in with the 3DS one, and now I'm thinking
I played it real quick. Thought on that. I did play it at GameStop the other day. They had it as a demo.
Yeah,
and it was on a new 3DS. Mm-hmm. Played very well without the 3D on. Looked very cool. 3D was nice, and it played like Hyrule Warriors. And so, if you have a new 3DS and you don't mind no 3D, it's Hyrule Warriors on the go. And it played very well and was exactly the game that I knew and loved.
Yeah.
When the 3D was on, it was a slideshow.
But the thing is that I really love, especially when I play on 3DS, a lot of titles, it's about, like, the 3D is a lot of people kind of hate on that gimmick, but I really like it, and I think it's some really cool effects that they've done with that in the past. And for the most part, since I'm not a big commuter and I don't go a lot of places, vacation a lot, for most of my experience, if I can, like I've been waiting and we've been talking about this for a long time about wanting a 3DS to TV sort of thing. Yeah. Or like when they were doing the Smash promotion, they kept doing 3DSs that were connected to TVs, and it was just...
They even had that at WonderCon this week. They had Federation Force in the TV.
Yeah, and those things it's what I want ever since like SNES, GBA, whatever that was on the Super Nintendo.
Hyperlink,
Game Boy or Advance, Super Nintendo Advance or something. I forget what that game was. We had it on the Super Nintendo.
The GameCube had that adapter you could put on the bottom, and that was awesome.
Yeah, that one too. The Game Boy Player, Advance Player, I think is what that was called.
It's weird. It's almost as if they planned it, because there was screws on the bottom of the GameCube that were like made for that. It was like
but that was back when emulating those consoles was a lot simpler, and I think that also because I was thinking about that and thinking about how the Advance or the Game Boy, the Super Game Boy, I think it was what it was called on the SNES, was actually like an emulated Game Boy inside the cartridge. So it was not actually this SNES emulating the Game Boy. It had become, I think, so cheap for them to make Game Boys that they just put a Game Boy in there and just made it so that it translated to the TV screen. And I think kind of the same thing probably was the case with the Game Boy player, where... I mean, the GameCube at that point was, I think it's capable of running Game Boy Advance games, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was just a whole Game Boy Advance basically inside that Game Boy player. And nowadays, with the 3DS and all that complication, I think it's a lot harder to make just like a adapter thing. Yeah,
all that to say, the 3D of the 3DS is super unique.
Yeah.
And so for a game to lack that, it's kind of like... why play it on the 3DS and not go ahead and play on the Wii U. So yeah,
that's what my case is that it's like that's one of the things is like if I'm going to play it on the 3DS, I want it to have that cool unique thing, that feature that I can't get on consoles, and that's what a lot of that is, and that's what one of the reasons it's like really cool to play Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time and stuff on the 3DS despite playing it on the console. Because you could just get it on a virtual console on Wii or something like Majora's Mask, but I'd kind of rather play it, especially since they I mean, it kind of takes away from the fact that they also remastered the game a bit, so it looks a lot better.
And Majora's Mask is just so much better on the 3DS, just so 3D aside. That's a good snippet, though. We may make that a snippet, just the whole concept of, is the 3D quality of a 3DS game, like, worth making it a rebuy almost? Because you have a game like Shovel Knight, for example, which is on every platform almost, but it's 3D on the 3DS, right? I think so.
Yes.
And so it's just like, I mean, is that enough to make it rebuyable? I mean...
Yeah. I think it is. I think it's pretty cool. Well, especially for an indie title like that where it's inexpensive.
I haven't played on the 3DS yet. I platinumed it on the PS4. I've played through a little bit on the Vita, and I played through a little bit on the GameCube, the Wii U. And, games that are in 3D, like, I mean, it's like the whole eShop thing we've talked about, or the 3D classics, or the Sonic games coming out. Like, that's a good reason to get into it. So, unexpected snippet for the beginning. Mm-hmm. I don't know where we're going with all that. We kind of got into Hyrule Warriors and talked about the analytics and stuff of Koppai. Yeah, people have been doing that. We have the snippets were a good idea. We have if you guys enjoy those, if you're listening, if you're specifically someone listening to the snippets, this probably actually won't be included in this snippet part. But let us know if you like that. If you prefer the real podcast, or if you're listening maybe on our SoundCloud or on our iTunes and you haven't even seen our YouTube page, if you search for Koppai Productions on YouTube, we have every podcast is divided into different snippets, and it's a way for you to kind of quickly get what we talk about in topic format, post-recording. So we don't go into it with a snippet mentality. We go into it with, let's talk freely, and then we make the snippets. And so I think that's really all we have to cover, though. I mean, just always going to be encouraging of more support on Patreon. Follow us everywhere. But the biggest news, though...
You think this is the biggest news?
I think so. It's honestly the only, real news of the whole show notes.
Yeah.
Everything else...
Yeah, that's pretty true.
Is that Reggie fils-aime... Fils-aime, right?
Yeah.
I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Had a birthday... This week.
Yesterday.
Yes,
yesterday, because we're recording this on the 26th, Saturday the 26th, and his birthday was...
Friday,
March 25th.
And so...
He turned 55 years old yesterday.
55.
Happy birthday, Reggie.
He looks good.
He does.
55. And
he's staying good.
He's... What was it, at the Invitational, he's running a company. He's playing Smash. He's getting it all done at 55, and so
and good for him for putting it out there. At least trying to his promise
with his Ryu. And oh man, he did not practice for that at all. But we thought we would dedicate this little snippet to Reggie.
Yeah,
and we would invite Bill Trinan to share this with Reggie, because Reggie, as far as we know, doesn't have a Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. He just kind of works through Nintendo's account. Sometimes he does do hashtag Reginator on the Nintendo account. So we can find him through there, but he's not on there solely as himself. And so we'll ask at Trintran, and everyone that listens to this snippet needs to retweet Koppai or tweet this video to at Bill Trinan or at Trintran on Twitter to get him to show Reggie, because we're going to sing Happy Birthday to Reggie.
Yeah.
You ready?
I'm ready. Okay.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Reggie. Happy birthday to you. We love you, Reggie.
Yeah, Reggie.
Oh man, it's on the internet now. Oh yeah, happy birthday, Reggie. We thank you for everything you do, the face of Nintendo that you are, the Nintendo Directs, and just how he's representing America well in the Nintendo side. And so
he is. He's done a good job since introducing himself, I think in 2004's E3.
Yeah. He walked out there and used some profanity to just establish himself and we at Koppai try to keep things clean, even more clean than the actual president of Nintendo. But always a great attitude, and I can't wait to see him go on the stage this year at E3 to officially talk about the NX, because it'll already be announced. It'll be announced in April.
Yeah, he's going to pull that thing out of his pocket, I'm sure.
Out of his sock. Yeah. It's just going to be just like a hitting gun almost. Just pull the NX, that oval controller. Right out. A little tease for what's to come. But yeah, if you want to get into the rest of the news.
Yeah, well, we inevitably every week have to go over some Super Mario Maker news.
Super Mario Maker!
Yeah. Well, it looks like the expert mode has been nerfed a little bit. And
yes, now there's normal mode, or easy mode, normal mode, hard, expert mode.
Super expert.
And so, now super expert's basically expert, kind of.
Yeah,
probably.
Pretty much. It's like it's a little more advanced. I think it's like it's narrowing it down even more to that. It's like they've made it a little more refined in that way, where it's now all those Kaizo levels and those ones that are like really ridiculous in completion rate, like maybe 0.1%, those kind of levels are maybe pushed more into the super expert, and now expert's gotten a little more reasonable for you. So if you've tried out expert and it was like really ridiculous, now you can go and maybe try through it and it won't be as hard anymore.
Yeah, I need to get back into Super Mario Maker between Pokken and Twilight Princess HD, and I've been digging into Fire Emblem Fates this week.
Yeah. I've been playing a ton of that Twilight Princess.
Yeah, you've been getting to town on that. You're like, what, 20 hours in?
Yeah.
I think I'm like only a few hours into Fire Emblem. I was hoping to play it more on the road, but that GPS thing.
Yeah, I just got the Master Sword in Twilight. So it's like I'm now to that point where it's like now I'm like really into the game officially.
Yeah. I need to get back into Super Mario Maker. Once again, I mean, it's the same thing with like my Fallout mentality right now. Is I'm not going to get back into Fallout until Far Harbor.
Yeah.
And even though Automatron came out this week, it's like, I'll wait.
And now with this thing,
with the
Fallout,
keys?
No, with this TV that I just got.
Oh yeah.
Fallout 4, I'm like really thinking like once I'm gonna jump back in with Far Harbor, I think, and like really go to town on like getting all of it complete. Yeah. And I don't know if I'll restart. I think I'm gonna try to refresh myself as best I can because I have put so much dedication into my file currently. So yeah,
I can't wait till Fallout 4 Definitive Edition on Nintendo NX, where I can take it on the go.
Awesome, because it's supposed to be more powerful than.
I wouldn't be surprised. Quick side note: in the Mario Maker snippet, I wouldn't be surprised if there is Fallout Definitive Edition, the Division Definitive Edition, and stuff like that. Like Definitive Edition of games this holiday season on the NX, if it is as powerful as they say it is, and if it gets that third-party support. I mean, we've already had some talks about that. But yeah, Super Mario Maker, I don't know when I'll go back, but when I do go back, I'm going to go back hard.
I just uploaded a couple new levels. So if you go find me, there's a couple episodes of Koppai with like our levels in the description. You did a lot of like Let's Plays of them, so it's easy to find me. And I think the browser website makes it really easy to find people.
I was going to say this. I think if you just find like search for Zach Risk Super Mario Maker stuff on the Super Mario Maker website, they can find you.
Yeah, just uploaded a couple new levels. I'm working on one still that utilizes the new mechanics, but I was trying to get that up by like the last episode, but I'm just still. I want to make it a good level, I don't want to rush anything. So I did upload in the meantime those other levels that I was working on and that were basically done, and just finished those up, put them up there so that there's some new stuff up there. And I've played some of the event stuff, and there's really, that game is so amazing.
Super Mario Maker?
Yeah.
I really want to go back and get all the sprites, all the costumes.
Yeah.
My achievement mentality, like I'm missing it now that I've kind of been going back like more hardcore to Nintendo after their dry season. And during the holidays, and I want to get back into it and really like find the way to like do all the achievements almost just so they have built-in game. Same thing with Pokken. I want to get every single title.
Yeah, me too. And also Smash. I always got to go back and get those last few.
I'm lacking on the trophies in Smash. I've played a bunch of Smash, which is weird that I've done all the trophies, or more than I actually do. So I've used like my Wii U for tournaments and people just poured into that. But with Super Mario Maker, I was going to say something, and I forgot it. So that's that. What was I going to say? We'll also, two more things. With your levels, maybe we can find a way to like screen cap a thumbnail or get the thumbnail of your levels.
Yeah.
And tweet them out. So if you follow @Koppai Media on Twitter, We'll be tweeting out levels and stuff that maybe Zach's made or some of my older ones. My question block one is viral out the roof. Has like tens of thousands of views on YouTube of like other people doing Let's Plays of it, which makes me always so mad because it's like, I should have done a Let's Play of it like right away. And I didn't. Yeah. But yeah, so that's a really fun level. And then Zach, some of yours are freaking hard. Yeah. I'm excited to go back with the key stuff. And the other thing is if you have any levels that you want us to play, we will play your levels and talk about them on Koppai Podcast. Maybe do a Let's Play. Right now my computer's on the fritz and is not handling HD 60 frames per second video so well. Hoping to get a new one soon. If you donate about $500 on Patreon, I'll get it just like that. More incentive to do that. But yeah, we'll definitely play them and talk about them and tweet out them and promote your levels, which is always fun to get more stars for your levels. And it's also just fun if you put a lot of work into it and you can get that out there unless Nintendo deletes it. But moving on in the news, we've got some Pokemon news this week.
Yes,
Zach?
Pokemon Go gameplay was revealed at GDC, and then a few days later, some more official images came out, such as Squirtle, and basically that was all that was really different about like the official images. I think that came out.
Yeah, and the other one was Bulbasaur.
Or Ivysaur, actually. Technically. Technically, it was Ivysaur.
Grassaur, Dankasaur.
I kind of wanted to read this description that the Pokemon Company put out of Pokemon Go and just kind of see our thoughts on like these new mechanics that they've introduced. So like the full description is that just was released by Pokemon Company says, in Pokemon Go, players around the globe will explore their surroundings to find and catch wild Pokemon hiding in our midst. Some wild Pokemon appear only in their native environments. For example, water-type Pokemon may only appear near lakes and oceans. As players explore the world around them, their phones will vibrate to let them know a Pokemon is nearby. Once they've encountered a Pokemon, it can be caught by using the phone's touchscreen to throw a Pokeball. Pokeballs and other special items can be found at Pokestops, located at interesting places such as public art installations, historical markers, and monuments. As players progress through Pokemon Go, their trainer level will increase, enabling them to capture more powerful Pokemon and gain access to more items. Some Pokemon can be evolved if the same species is caught on multiple occasions. Pokemon eggs, which can be found at Pokestops, will hatch after players walk a certain distance. Players will be able to impress their friends by unlocking achievement medals that are earned by completing a variety of challenges.
Nice.
During gameplay, Pokemon Go players will be encouraged to join one of 3 teams and engage in gym battles with other teams. Once they've joined a team, players will have the ability to assign their Pokemon to empty gyms. Like Pokestops, gyms can be found at real locations in the world, and because only one Pokemon per player can be placed at a given gym, team members will need to work together to build a strong defense. A gym claimed by one team can be challenged by the other 2 teams.
Awesome.
You think that's awesome?
Is there more?
Yeah. With real-life surroundings providing a backdrop for encounters with wild Pokemon, this unique Pokemon game represents the next generation of Niantic's real-world gaming platform, which combines mobile location technology and augmented reality to create a game experience that motivates players to go outside and explore the world around them. For more information, visit Pokemon.com/go.
www.pokemon.com/go.
Yes.
Or you can head over to patreon.com/Koppai Productions and support us. Doing the Greg Miller.
And listen to our Patreon exclusive episode that focuses on Pokemon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That actually is relevant. We have a Pokemon exclusive episode. I'm hoping to post a snippet from that this week. Maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. Actually not, because then it's a jip to the people that actually give us money. But very, very fun episode over there. Charlie in the comments can sound off of how amazing and worth the $1 that episode is. I asked him, Charlie, do you think this is worth $1? And he was like, yes. I think it was. So, it is.
You have it there, folks.
You have it there. If we need to have, like one of those accommodations or, what is it? Accolades trailers for, like they have for, video games that just come out or movies where it's just, Wall Street Journal says it's the best action movie this year. We need to have just, our website and then just Charlie says worth $1. But yeah, going back through this, my thoughts on it was, 1, a little underwhelming, the pictures, the video, all of that.
Yeah.
But also, especially in light of Sun and Moon, makes sense. Because we had talked about this in the past, I had thought that that Pokemon Go was going to be like that killer app where it's just going to be like, this is the end of other Pokemon. Because the trailer made it seem so hype.
Yeah, but now you're not thinking that.
And now I'm going back in the mentality of, you're right, Sun and Moon, mainline franchise, that's where they're going to put their time and money into.
Yeah.
Pokemon Go, Pokemon Shuffle, all that. Because, I mean, it goes back to the statistics that we mentioned last week, where it's like, the main Pokemon's made $200 million, the side ones have made $70 million. We also talked about how that may mean that those are making more money because there's not as many of them. If you really think about it, that's like $10 million a game for the mainline series. But if they only have, you just wonder if the $70 million, how much is coming from microtransactions of Pokemon Shuffle. And it's not completely black and white, but basically all that to say is the mainline series is here to stay.
Yeah,
and I would think that they'd want to put more time into mobile, but I don't know. Pokemon Go just doesn't seem to be like the end-all, be-all like that originally people thought.
Right.
Because at that time we didn't know about Sun and Moon. And so I wasn't surprised to see that it is pretty lacking in the visual department and the immersion department. It's just kind of like, they're floating on your screen. You see your couch behind. Or
it's a really cool, like they say, to get engaged with the outside world and to go out and maybe explore and throw in an element of Pokemon to it. Kind of have that immersion in a way where it's not replacing like these mainline games, but it is giving you a Pokemon reason to go out and do like social things and to learn and educate yourself on a whole bunch of...
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be... I hope they really think through and don't just like randomly drop Pokemon wherever like they did with that April Fool's Google Maps thing. That seemed to be kind of just random. Like, we'll put a Charizard on top of the Empire State Building, because people love Charizard.
Yeah.
I hope it really is. There's a Caterpie in the woods over here, and like that it knows where the woods are, and that it knows where Nebraska is, and like if you go out to the countryside, you'll see like Rattatas and stuff, and Mankeys, and I hope there's that certain element to it, and that you see like Mucks and stuff in New York City and all that. But
what I really think they should have done, like when you were saying that the gym thing was awesome, I really think they should have maybe approached it a little differently. Like I think they could have done something like where there's these landmarks maybe where there's gym leaders there, and there's a set of Pokemon that you fight when you go there, and like maybe like despite some people maybe like always wishing, like, I really wish I could go to a gym and fight a gym leader, one day. Or maybe I'll go on vacation one day and there's a gym leader in Disney World, or there's a gym leader at this art museum here in Omaha or something. We could go there and finally fight a gym leader one day. Instead of this, this thing of dropping one Pokemon and doing this.
Okay, so I'll get to that real quick, and I'm going to come back. I want to talk about some of these other things, like because I think some of this other stuff's weird. But with the gym thing, like I work at the Mall of America in Minneapolis, and that's going to be a gym. I would think so anyway. Or it's definitely going to be a Pokestop.
Yeah.
It's the Mall of America.
Yeah.
And to go to work every day and drop off my Pikachu and be like, all right, Pikachu, and you're going to hold down the fort here, and I'm going to leave and come back, and it's like your Pikachu leveled up, or your Pikachu defended the Mall of America for this gym, like this team and stuff. Like people are going to be fighting over the Mall of America all the time. And to have that like at that location, that's like a contested area, and to put gyms in it that way is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool that it's taking a unique, different approach to it when it's not a replacement. Like when I was thinking it, kind of reading the story originally, I was wondering, because when we were initially, like we were talking about, when we first saw it, we were thinking about how this could possibly be a new avenue for Pokemon as like a main thing, like really taking the series and doing it like a direct translation of like, this is how the game works, this is kind of how this works. And so when I was reading that and seeing how there's these fundamental differences, it was like kind of a bummer to me. But then when I think about it a little bit harder and think about how we're still getting Sun and Moon, and it's going to be that we're still getting that, so this is a different thing, and there's some different mechanics, which does make it cool. It makes it exciting for me. So yeah, it's kind of, I'm coming around on that a bit more, because at first it was like, man, this is a bummer. I really wish it was a bit more of a direct translation of the games into a real world situation. But now it's like, all right, I still got that over there. there's new ones coming. This is totally different, and there's some cool, new, unique.
Yeah, because I feel like there's gonna be like an online discussion and a hashtag. There's gonna be like a community aspect to Team Red took back the Mall of America.
Yeah,
like we got that's our gym now, and there's gonna be. I mean, just like you wanted, like with going and having a traditional gym battle. You have that, only now it's just with actual other people. And the other people are the gym leaders.
Yeah.
Which is a cool perspective of it and stuff, which, if you think about it in the Pokemon world, the people that are in the gyms are just another team that all filled up this room and they just took over it, basically.
Yeah.
And you go in there as a little punk kid and just knock them all out.
Yeah, some like 13-year-old kid's the gym leader usually. So it's like, because Brock and Misty, how old were those kids? Gym leaders.
Well, Brock, I think, was always a little bit older because he had like younger brothers that he took care of and stuff.
Right.
And Misty was like a group of sisters. They were like, I mean, at least in the anime and Pokemon Yellow, I think in the original Red and Blue, which is like a bunch of swimmers.
They all honestly seemed about the same in age.
Lieutenant Surge, though, used to be a lieutenant. He was like from the military. That guy was hard knocks. Like even the guys that you go up to and talk to on the way in, they're like, watch out for Lieutenant Surge. He's gonna bust you up.
Yeah, there's some things about like there was a big war in Pokemon history or something. I don't know about that. We can't really get into all that right now because we don't have too much time left on our podcast. We gotta kind of move into the other stories.
Oh yeah, we do.
We only have an hour on this particular recording. Actually, like limited our time for it.
So and we even less because I gotta get to dinner.
Yeah.
And so but that oh man, we need to do like another Pokemon exclusive Patreon episode where we talk about that war.
So much.
That theory of the war is insane. But to real quick touch on Pokemon, go ahead and wrap up this snippet. Pokemon eggs make sense. You walk around, you have an egg. That'll be so fun when it hatches, and you're like, I'm on my way to work, and it's just like, oh yo, Togepi hatched. And then evolving Pokemon by catching more of that Pokemon seemed a little weird, but I guess it makes sense. You'd think you just walk and battle with them more. Maybe that's one way to do it. And then, like I said, I hope they just isn't just random of where they are, but that they actually have a reason that the more metal type Pokemon are in the city and more grass type Pokemon are in rural areas. But moving forward, Tomo.
Everybody loves it. I got it actually. I have Tomo on my phone.
Yeah, you do. We have to talk about. We can't talk about.
We can't talk about it too much.
We'll have a whole impressions time when it comes out. I mean, it should be out.
It should be out really, really soon. That's what this story actually is about. The website, the English website, mysteriously changed to remove their March release date.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you didn't know about this?
What?
Well, this is what I'm thinking. I theorize that it's coming maybe April 1st. Early April, maybe, because we're almost, Friday is April 1st. So they could announce it, because this goes up on Monday or Tuesday. Actually, it's going out the day late, so Tuesday. I would expect that we might, by the time this post, already have an announcement about when...
Surprise Direct, maybe? Because they usually have Wednesday, Thursday Directs.
But I would think they're just going to announce, maybe this Friday, and it'll be April, and so they had to take down the March release date. I think they were planning for a late March, and it ended up being early April.
That makes me so mad.
That. And if it's any later, I'm going to be like, what? Because I'm playing it in English on my phone right now. We can't talk about it too much, but, I mean,
people all over are playing it in English. And the BitBlock, IGN, everyone has review copies, press copies, and they're not jailbreaking it or doing whatever the woozy woozy to get it.
I really don't understand it because it's really such a simple game from what I've done and stuff. It's asking me, it's all in English. It's asking me really simple stuff, It
looks so fun. I'm so pumped for Miitomo. Maybe because I'm just
ask me what my favorite food was, and that was the first question. And it's like, really? Why is this not out?
I mean, it's ridiculous. But super excited for that. Hopefully it does come out soon. I talked to my fiance more about it, and she's super excited. We watch more coverage. When we finally do get it, we'll have a whole. We may do a review discussion for that. It'll probably be less than the Pokken one, but we may have to have a separate impressions thing.
Yeah.
Really pumped about Miitomo.
Yeah.
Hopefully sooner rather than later. And now moving forward, we can just make this last snippet. It may have to be about 10 minutes, because we may have to end a little bit early because I need to be out by about 7:15.
I can rush through all of this last story here, and then we can just kind of digest it and talk about.
Final snippet is the NX here. So go.
All right, our report. Well, it's kind of a Wii U and NX combo story, and 3DS. We kind of got it all kind of wrapped in here. Nintendo's hardware, legacy, what's going on, but mostly in NX focus.
I think it all, I mean, the Wii U stopping production, the 3DS long life, it all relates. It all comes together in the conspiracy that is the NX.
It's going to give it to you.
It's going to...
A report from Nikkei came out stating that the Wii U was stopping production at the end of the year. And this story got a lot of major traction and was covered pretty extensively. A lot of reaction videos. I watched a lot of people talking about it. And they were mostly reflecting on the Wii U's short life and what this meant moving on. Well, it turns out that Nintendo came out denying the story and saying that they are not stopping production on the Wii U. And this makes me think about the fact that as a hardware life lives on, the costs to build like the Wii U and the 3DS goes down. Like as we get closer to the NX and as just the years go on, it's just natural progression that, you know, we see it with terabyte hard drives, everything like hardware costs go down over time. So that makes sense that the Wii U and the 3DS are becoming a lot cheaper to make over time. So I'm wondering, with the Nintendo NX coming out, if Nintendo is going to continue the life of the Wii U and 3DS since it's so inexpensive for them to make. And as we see, there's several different models of like the 3DS where it's the new 3DS, the XL, the 2DS. It seems like the 3DS has gotten to a point where it's pretty inexpensive to make it. So I'm wondering if they're going to keep production kind of at a moderate level and continue to produce, because these... like, it makes me think about how the Wii U and the 3DS are still making these AAA titles, these major games that, like, Pokken just came out. We got Zelda Wii U coming out. We have Color Splash coming out. We have Sun and Moon coming out on the 3DS. We have all these major games still coming out.
Zelda U too.
Yeah.
Like, even though that's like probably going to come on an NX, it is definitely on Wii U, and they wouldn't put that on a console that's done, I would think, you know. So
I'm thinking these consoles still have a lot of life left, and since they're like becoming so inexpensive to make, I'm wondering if the NX is going to come out for those early adopters. They're going to make a good supply of them, and this is kind of a way to maybe work their way back with like keeping costs down, making some money back with the NX of those early adopters, those hardcore fans like us who are inevitably going to buy it, but
handheld release.
It's interesting that they say, like, for sure, like, we're not stopping it. It could be, who knows, maybe they're trying to keep faith in the Wii U. But I think it makes sense. It made me just kind of dwell on the fact that maybe they want to continue to make money off these consoles, and then the NX will be a port console, and they'll port a lot of these games to the NX.
Well, we talked about that last week, that well, maybe we didn't. We talked about, like, the whole concept of if they're making a new Smash for the NX, which seems to be getting more and more credible and possible and likely to happen, with them still working on it, with the rumors previously that they're doing a Smash NX port and stuff, you wonder if they're doing ports, why would they not just do, why would they do that if it's not backwards compatible? Yeah. Like, why have a new iteration of Smash?
Right, totally.
If you can just put in your Wii U copy. And so I don't know if it's backwards compatible, which makes me think that it's going to coexist along. Yeah.
And they kind of, when Iwata gave that one conference when he kind of announced mobile and everything and talked about how we're not giving up on consoles, he kind of foreshadowed the NX and kind of showed how the 3DS was still there, the Wii U was still there. They're kind of all interconnected. In that, I'm sure there's going to be some sort of intercompatibility to some degree, but I wouldn't be surprised if a majority of it's like NX ports for these games, and hopefully maybe we'll get some like 3DS ports to the NX and kind of a mixture of those things. The major story of the week really was that the NX supposedly had a couple of controller leaks, and these all got a lot of attention, but we found out they were all fake, like really elaborate fakes.
Really well done. Really, shout out to that guy. Do you have his name or?
No, I don't know their names. But the one guy did a whole like 3D model and made it look super realistic, that white one, and another person completely 3D printed. It's like there's a video showing him like sanding it down, spray painting with like matte painting, and then gloss painting, and then like made these little triangle scroll wheels that he glued into the top, like super elaborate, next level stuff.
Yeah,
and it's pretty crazy and
not surprising though.
Not surprising, and it was a really good, accurate patent recreation, and I thought it looked really slick. And like I agreed with a lot of I'm glad that it's not the actual thing.
Yeah, well,
but it did look pretty slick and pretty cool.
Yes, some of the on his DeviantArt, some of the pictures he had were much cooler than the ones he actually ended up making. And
the concept too, that if it was that shape, you could put it into like controller, like more PS4 kind of or GameCube controller, little what are they called? Just the little grips,
like, just handles,
you know. Because it just had like no handle, and you would be kind of just holding the screen, and get really uncomfortable. But if you had those grips, the handles, then
and then that could solve the whole dilemma of I want an Xbox controller, I want a PS4 controller. Well, the NX controller can be whatever kind of controller you want. You just put it into whatever you buy with it. Actually, brilliant. I didn't even think of that. I was gonna say with the other leak, there's the other leak out there that it had someone put it a Reddit AMA about apparently they work for Nintendo. Or they work for it with a dev kit or something. They're a AAA developer and they have a dev kit and they have the NX controller and they have the console and stuff and they know what it is.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Very sketchy because it's just like there's no way to confirm this.
Right.
I mean, anyone could do that. Like there's just no like. Why would you believe this guy? But it's just always fun to talk about. And with Koppai, we did another NX rumor galore episode. Way back last year when they talked about the leading industry chips and the patents and stuff. And it's just going to be a tradition of Koppai until we get to the NX reveal. But with all these leaks, we never want to talk about them and try to figure out they're real or whether try to figure out they're fake because by the time the episode gets posted, they may be confirmed for fake or real. And also, by the time the NX comes out, they'll all be confirmed for fake or real. And then at that point, the podcast's whole topic is irrelevant. And it's like, we want you guys to be able to listen to this stuff, and have some sort of value to it forever. And so, what we usually talk about with these leaks and stuff is kind of what it means for the console regardless, and if we would like that, and how that speaks to like certain things. And one of the things that I thought was interesting was, would that kind of controller be cool? Because you talk about how it can be adaptable to the grips, and also they've shown in the past, like with iPhones and Samsung phones, those kind of haptic touchscreens where, like, the touchscreen literally, like, bubbles up. Right. And you can feel buttons, but it's a touchscreen. And someone said, I think in that Reddit post, that that's what the controller does, is it is all touchscreen. And it has 2 analog sticks in the touchscreen. Yeah. And then the rest of the buttons change depending on the game.
Right. They used the example of Mario Sunshine and possibly using the flood and having a button that swells up, and then as you drain the water, it kind of drains out. And
that's brilliant because that's that Nintendo we've kind of missed, where that feels good while you play. Like when you hit a tennis ball with the Wiimote, it like vibrates and it kind of flickers a little, and you hear it like a little pop in the controller. Yeah. And it's just like, I feel like I just hit a tennis ball. Like it feels like there's a resistance against my wrist and stuff, and that's what the Kinect missed. I don't know if the PlayStation Move had that, but it just always seemed to like be lacking that. Like the Wii U was intuitive, and it felt like it had good feedback. And if they could have that with the touchscreen of the NX controller, which is probably going to be a touchscreen in some sort of way, whether it's full screen or not, if they could add in those buttons, that would be the most insane controller ever, just because what other button can do that? And like that was what the GameCube excelled at, was that it was buttons made for the games that Nintendo had. It's what the Wii U does, where it's just that kind of like, once again, like how can they make the controller reflect like unique gameplay? And so that's the thing we're always talking about with VR, of just like how can this change up the way we play games? And having a controller with buttons that change and swell and get thicker and are smaller or move across the screen depending on what room you're in a Zelda dungeon or something like that just is insane. And I would think that the touchscreen, unlike the leaks, wouldn't be the game. I would think it would be just like when you play Pokemon or when you play Zelda or Triforce Heroes, where it's just the stuff on the bottom screen is more big clicky buttons and stuff that are like ever changing. I mean, always in that same format, but can always be big Pokemon buttons or the map of a Zelda screen or item swapping and stuff like that. And I don't think it would ever. And I think the Reddit thing also discussed this concept of it not mirroring the NX, but it is simply the second screen of the 3DS, which would once again make sense. And something I would hope for the NX. But
the customizable screen and stuff was a really interesting thing to think about. A possibility of that and being able to add your own icons and how the 3DS, that's a big thing about the 3DS is its customizability, and they're always releasing these new themes and skins and all that. It really makes me think about just thinking about the haptic feedback and interesting concepts and how Nintendo's so well at gamepad and Wiimote is just if they would have stepped into the VR game, what that would have been like and how they would have been able to do, because they do so good with their latency free and their technology with the gamepad that they personally like invented and made it like nobody else has such a lag free gamepad to TV kind of thing. And it just makes me wonder what Nintendo, if they hopefully maybe one day in the future they do step into VR, but just what that'd be like, how well they would nail the hands in the VR, just like the feeling and like the resistance
Power Glove,
and, like the move. Yeah.
That was gonna be that. Just to wrap up everything. What are we at in time? I mean, 51 minutes recording overall. But when did we actually start the podcast? I think I have a timer here. We're at 50 minutes, so perfect. Good podcast length. I don't want to jip the lovely viewers at home or on the car ride or at the park with their granddaughter as they're waiting for a dead drop.
Yeah.
One thing to kind of close out and stuff I want the viewers to ponder and maybe answer down in the comment section, whether it be the snippet or the iTunes thing, the comment section of the iTunes page, is how the Nintendo NX, assuming it releases in 2016, would compete against PlayStation VR, which is confirmed October $399. Basically a new console. Or there's also the rumored PlayStation 4K, which is a clever name, wouldn't probably actually be 4K. It's hard to get a computer to run 4K. To have a console that could run 4K and have developers be able to use that software and actually take advantage of it. I think that's unlikely, but no doubt a beefed up PlayStation 4 is probably definitely in the works, or some sort of rumble pack or something coming to the PlayStation 4. Like something big is coming to that, most likely, almost all but confirmed, especially after GDC with rumblings and stuff, and Kazan McDonald overhearing things at the water cooler and stuff from Kotaku UK. But we were what?
Nothing. I was just thinking of that Law and Order with Ice-T. It's like, I read on Kotaku that
Oh no!
It was something really cheesy. I watched just last night something where they were trying to relate to gamers on Law and Order and be like, man, this guy's camping, like,
yeah.
What's camping? It's when he just sits there, you know, and then he's like, I read on Kotaku, I forget what it was.
That is Google gaming website. They're like, we'll use that one. Because Kotaku doesn't even do stuff like that. It's mainly journalism.
Yeah.
Probably arguably the best journalism for video games.
Yeah.
Very like just whatever.
Yeah, they're a good website.
Yeah. Well, I mean, IGN is sometimes can be very PR, just very like entertainment and stuff. But Kotaku's cut and dry journalism.
Yeah, very much so.
Gawker, though, the guys that own Kotaku are in a little bit of trouble.
Yes, they are.
Hulk Hogan is mad. But yeah, overall, PlayStation 4.5 or 4K, 5K is probably coming in. So we don't know how the NX will fare against that. It'll be interesting to see if it can put up against VR without being incredibly intuitive. Like, sure, it may be powerful, but if VR is the future and it seemed like Nintendo was going to leapfrog ahead in this kind of off year, but PlayStation's kind of staying relevant with VR.
Yeah, and it's interesting that supposedly the NX is a little bit more powerful than the PS4, and yet they're coming out a little more powerful PS4. It's almost like, did they hear behind, like, did they hear, Nintendo's going to come out with one that's a little more powerful to compete, so let's get our
or
5 out there.
Or maybe there's just the software, the hardware being developed for console gaming that is available to do that. Like maybe AMD was able to do a chip or something that has that power. And maybe they contacted Sony, or maybe Sony contacted them and said, hey, we have this new chip that can do this much graphics, and it's priced relatively well for a console. Do you want that in your new system? And they're probably like, oh, let's get on that. And Nintendo's using it. Oh, we need that, you know. Mm-hmm. Interesting that we haven't really heard anything from Xbox, although Xbox has talked in the past about upgradable parts. So everyone is talking about it.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be interesting that we may get like a whole new line of consoles this fall between Xbox One upgrade, PS4K, and NX.
And basically, the Sony VR, PlayStation VR is basically a new console.
Yeah,
in itself. It's powered by the PS4, but it's essentially a brand new console, a new medium of playing games. So it's directly competing with the NX, and it will be interesting to see how it fares. I think that Nintendo hopefully are planning a strong launch base, like a launch game titles and stuff that'll be awesome to win this over. And also, I'm sure they're not feeling too threatened by like the price points of VR, because it's not the year of VR. A lot of people are saying this fall there's going to be a lot of talk about VR, a lot of buzz, but how many people are actually going to be adopting it? If Nintendo comes out with a reasonable price point and great launch titles, people are going to be thinking like, I'm not going to be adopting VR yet, I'm going to wait a little longer, I'm going to go with Nintendo because they have these, like, it's so much more accessible right now.
And they have to have something beyond definitive editions of everything else that's already been out.
Yeah.
Because, it'll be interesting because VR will have exclusives and the NX will have exclusives, no doubt. Even if it's a weak launch title list or lineup, they will have some exclusives. And so it'll be interesting to be like, do I want to, because a lot of people are, do I want to spend $400 on VR? Actually, more about $500 on VR for a full setup. Or do I want to spend probably $300, probably $350, probably $400 overall for the NX? And I think what'll be interesting is that the NX seems to be shaping up to be old school gaming redefined. Doesn't seem to be like doing something crazy with virtual reality or doing anything like that. It seems to be controller, 2 screens, Nintendo classic stuff, but just up to a better power, more intuitive controls, and experimenting, while VR is the future. And so it'll be interesting to see what gamers like. Do they like old school redefined? Do they like the new school, completely new thing? And so that's kind of our discussion and thoughts on the leaks. I knew they were fake all along.
Yeah.
Artsy Omni, who's the guy that does Smashified and made all those fake leaks for Rayman and stuff, he knew from the get-go, this is fake.
Yeah.
And they're like, but it doesn't fail the Photoshop test. And he's like, neither did my leaks. Like, it's easy to do that.
Yeah.
And he talked about how the screens didn't have that more thing or something, MOIRE, where it's if you take a picture from an angle of a screen, there's like the little lines and stuff. And he's like, even iPads have that. And those are insane pixel density. Like, unless this display is absolutely beyond what Apple does, there should be that effect there. And he also pointed out other things and stuff. And he's like, this is fake.
Yeah, it was just like a glossy plastic, really.
Yeah, and so
fake render. I thought it looked. I wasn't saying definitively real or not real. I just said it looked pretty cool, and that it's interesting to see, and that it's a good patent recreation. That was, I think, my comments. Was that it looked really slick. Even if it's fake, I'd be wanting to have that in my hands and just check it out and be like, this is cool and it's a great patent.
Yeah, hopefully he sells them on Etsy. Just get on there, man.
We literally have like 2 minutes left of this podcast, so we gotta wrap it up. Actually, 1 minute left, so we gotta say our
58 minutes exactly. We're gonna like the first time we hit an hour.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for listening to Koppai Podcast. We hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, leave it a like. Click subscribe. If you subscribe, you are entered to win two amiibo for the month of April. If you share the video, you are able to share it. And are you looking at the timer?
Yeah, you got 30 seconds.
No, I have.
Before it ends the time, before it stops recording. We got 1 hour exactly on this recording.
Wait, you didn't let it go beyond that?
No.
So, all right, so like that, share it with hashtag Koppai, and you get a win 2 amiibo. Find us on Twitter at Koppai Media. Find us on Facebook at Koppai Productions. If you give us $1 on Patreon, you can win an X, and you can also get an exclusive Pokemon episode. Thank you so much, Koppai!